Come on, kids, gather by the fire, and we are going to tell you what it was like for a typical day in the last days of the old world, back when, yes, those dark forces ruled the planet before the people threw away the old system. This is what it was like on a typical day when the people were starting to really wake up and notice what was happening. By the way, not enough people were subscribed to Evolutionary Energy Arts, EEARTS, and Heart's Own. Otherwise, this would have happened quicker. Oh, the world was crazy in those days. Absolutely crazy. You never knew what could happen at any time, and you had to just be ready for anything. Yeah, I know. It really, truly was just crazy. We can't imagine it. Here you see ranchers in the heart of California concerned about hundreds of rail cars full of unknown flammable substances brought out into the heart of agricultural land. Yeah, head of aqueduct to San Francisco, unordered by landowners. Yeah, a lot of these are marked liquid petroleum and flammable. Well, again, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, of course, they're going to be very careful and very kind and very good to the environment because they make all these speeches saying how much they care and how much they love us.
And, in those days, again, some of the politicians out there were pointing out things and others were trying to cover up things. And here is one that was known as Tulsi Gabbard, talking about how in January of 2018, there was this thing that flashed on all the TV screens and on the those little things they used to put in their hands and carry around with them. Oh, cell phones. Yeah, and it flashed out and said, and this was a beautiful day in January 2018, that there was an inbound ballistic missile attack happening. Now, when she was doing this speech, this was 2023. Yeah, you remember that year in our history books, right? That was an eventful year. And guess what they had when she was talking about this? Another white balloon, large white balloon spotted near Hawaii. Remember reading all about those balloons that were causing such a ruckus? A number of airborne objects have been shot down this month, including a Chinese surveillance balloon. New reports indicate this balloon fad might not be over. So the Drive reported a large white balloon was spotted by commercial pilots about 600 miles east of the Hawaiian Islands on Monday. The FAA has notified pilots in the area about the sightings of the balloon traveling at an altitude of 40 and 50,000 feet. Yes, another balloon, a large white balloon over Hawaii. Now, of course, Hawaii, as many might know, again, is the center point of the Pacific Fleet. Yes, and again, it would be key in any type of war to control Hawaii. And as we see here, the course is taking it yeah, right over Hawaii. Interesting. Police have discovered an 18-inch pipe bomb on train tracks. This is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, unexploded. Boy, that really explains a lot, does it not? All these trains that were coming off the rails, yeah, pipe bombs and explosives. Well, coincidences. We know those don't happen.
I know. I mean, all of this couldn't be so very deliberate now, could it? We have a lot going on, and it seems like a tit for tat. So I'm watching this white balloon, and I'm wondering what's going to happen afterwards. So it seems like there's a little bit of a tug and pull, good, bad. It seems like there's two different forces in the sky and on the ground.
Well, white flag is, surrender, right? Waving the white flag or even truce. So we'll see. Now, there was a power outage in Oakland that hit over 54,000 people. Oakland again. Well, as far as California goes, it is one of the higher crime areas and all, but we've seen a lot of power outages, a lot of strange things occurring. You know, the officials said the issue was a PG&E transmission line. You know who owns PG&E, don't you? Yeah, ROTH Shields. Yes. What I had seen too was that this was again something that was related to a power station. Power station. Oh, what? We had power station attacks in North Carolina. We had them in Oregon. We had them in Washington. Suspected boiler explosion at a coke plant. They urged the public to stay away from the area. Yeah, you know, there's just so much going on. And here we have a state trooper base camp erected in Florida, and this is in the Florida Keys, as boatloads of migrants have been coming in. Boatloads of migrants. You know, on that channel, Evolutionary Energy Arts, if you went to the playlists and you went to Consciousness and Reality and viewed that full playlist, you would see the visions of the future. That this was published back on January again of 2018. And it was sharing visions of what was seen. And one of the things that was seen was an invasion that comes up through Florida. And you know, it's not just Florida, as we're looking at a boatload of migrants. Wait a minute, where's all the kids? Where's all the ladies? No kids, no ladies. These guys all look like they're, yeah. Anyway, it's not just Florida, but UK and other NATO nations. As we know, when we look back in history, we know that invasion did take place, and there was so many already in place, and they just paved the way for the regular army to come on in, the regular military to come on in. And quite an invasion it was. Oh, yes, most definitely. But when you look at this is exactly what you know, the person doing Evolutionary Energy Arts, kids, was seeing basically an invasion from the south part of Florida that worked its way up, and people escaping the battles that were raging. The regular citizens were escaping by trying to get out of the peninsula. So here we see a tent city was set up on 8 vacant privately owned lots. And boy, those just look, there's something about that white FEMA look that is just so kind of ugly. I really don't like it. It gives me the creeps.
Well, it seems to be quite uniform.
Very uniform. Actually, I think I've seen something very similar to this in China, I think. Yeah. Yeah, this... Signs. Do we need any more signs? I really don't think any more signs are necessary. But here you see, this is a truck driver going into this amazing, massive underground facility. Massive. It's this, and I don't know how many of you guys realize this is here. This is the Springfield Underground. Now, this is Springfield, Missouri. And this is in the Ozarks. The Ozarks are one of those territories, like if you talk about the 3 big safe zones, quote unquote, and there truly is no place that's going to be perfectly safe. In the U.S., you would usually have people talking about the Appalachian Mountains, the Ozarks, and also the Four Corners area. But, you know, again, what we've gotten is there's going to be random pockets that are going to be safer than others. And, you know, again, you're going to have to listen to your own intuition, and in many cases get that intuition really, really hyped. And you do that by a daily practice of meditation, going within, keeping a clean diet, getting yourself clean and clear away from all the big FARMA, the junk food, the GMO foods, the simple sugars. Again, if we're on all those things, you're not going to be able to fine tune your consciousness to really be getting those signals. And it's key in these times. There is a massive underground in this area here. Springfield Underground is one of the more mysterious businesses in the city of Springfield, Missouri. Rumors of veterans hospitals and the whole thing being stocked with cheese. I think the fact that we are out of sight, it's always interesting to me when somebody thinks they're the first one to discover us, even though we've been here for 50 or 60 years. I think the fact that you don't see anything drives some narratives that are a little more interesting than what really goes on down here, says John Griesmer, President and CEO of the Erlin Group. He says the land is about 600 acres that they have mined the last 70 years. They removed the limestone product that was used in construction products like concrete for roads and bridges. With the open space below, the underground was created. It's an industrial complex, 3.5 million square feet of underground space. They run about 500 to 600 tractor trailers that go through it every day. 3.5 miles worth of roadways and trains run through it. According to Griesmer, they have grown to about 680,000 square feet in the last 5 years and are hoping to widen the road leading to the underground in Northeast Springfield. They mostly work with companies in the food industry, such as Kraft, Pepsi, and Vital Farms. He says about 75% of the 3.5 million square feet is food product storage. About 60% of the space is refrigerated. Since you're underground, it's basically 60 degrees all year round, and it makes for much reduced cost as far as energy goes and keeping everything refrigerated. Isn't that curious? The Ozarks are an interesting area, absolutely, as I'm going to share with you some photos. There are many, many caves in this area, many caves. In fact, this is one of the areas that I looked at a lot of properties. And it was interesting to see how many private properties you would find that said they had caves on them. As you see a diagram here, and the entrance is going down into the ground. There's a train. Look at that. This gets me thinking about Daring Canu and Cappadocia over in Turkey, and then also thinking about the Grand Canyon. As we see Crafts Foods Distribution Center, the Springfield Underground, all these other just rather normal things going on. Dairy Farmers of America, Booski Warehouse, Kraft Bulk Cheese Storage, and the times that we're going in. Oh, there were, I forgot to report on this one thing. There were a couple of earthquakes that were in a little bit more unusual areas, South Carolina, and one that was in Tennessee, was it? And when we were looking at them, they were not big, but they were very shallow. Yeah, and what we got was absolutely they are expanding on the underground. In West Virginia, for instance, there's massive underground structures that could house our entire government. And again, there's nothing for the average person here in the U.S. unless you've done it yourself. But in Russia, yeah, they actually have enough underground facilities to basically get every single person in Russia underground in case of something huge. Not the case in the U.S. Not the case in the U.S. I don't believe it's the case in most NATO countries. And please do correct me on that as you look at another entrance there. Oh, yes, they're down there. So you got to wonder, is this also going to be food storage for some of the elites and some of the, politicians that make their way underground in the times right ahead of us. 2,400-year-old flush toilet unearthed in China. Broken parts of the toilet, including a bent pipe, were unearthed from this archaeological site 2,400 years ago. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating, is it not? a lot of times we have those friends that try to wake us up, and we might feel that they're annoying, but sometimes you think there's nothing going on. There's nothing really going on. But your friend, they're trying to wake you up, and you might get irritated, you might get mad at them. Just let me have peace. As long as I ignore the world, there's nothing that's going to happen. Well, again, these times are showing that that's not the case, and we need to be as awake as possible in these times. And we're really actually doing a favor, even though it might seem that we're irritating some of those that want to just stay sound asleep. You really are doing them a favor. So I hope this little campfire tale of a typical day and the last days of the Dark Age is something that can glean a little new ahas from.
Indeed.
As always, guys, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Much love, God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.